The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
You want some bad news, Michael?
No.
What are you asking me?
You're the guru of the gray matter. I figured if anybody had it, you'd have the answer.
I can't give you any direction.
I think I'm going to have to change this channel. I'm sorry.
You're completely wrong.
I refuse to be wrong on 2 calls in a row.
Tell me I'm spot on or tell me I'm crazy and I'll get out.
I have no idea.
I have a 6-month-old, so we'll be raising him according to Dr. Ray.
Talk about being a winner.
So, you want my question?
You ain't making any sense.
You're absolutely right. I just needed confirmation.
So what are you going to do about it, Dawn?
I'm calling you.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
A priest was looking for something when his friend walked in. The priest said, "I'm meeting some members of the laity and I can't find my collar." "Oh my," his friend said, "a lay date and a collar short." "All right, you ain't paying for this. Not directly, anyway. You're not going to get my best stuff. If you want my best stuff, you have to come to a presentation." Nice to have you here on The Doctor Is In. The variant of this Doctor Is In is Look Back Friday. The calls are up there, put up by the capable hands of my producer man, Andrew Kruchek, who edits them for our second time around consumption. And we will address them, well, you won't, I will, address them shortly here after my opening monologue. Now, why do we rerun some of these calls? Because I want to expand upon them. I want to say a few more things, and that could be various. Could be I want to explain the term used. I want to go in a direction I couldn't go when the call came in. I wanted to make another comment. I mean, all of this comes under the umbrella of I just want to talk more. Let's cut it through. Okay, my ulterior motive, I want to talk more. So we will do that. What is the hardest apology to make? I think it's when you didn't do something wrong, and it would be in your best interests or another person's best interests to apologize anyway. Give you an example. Some years ago, had a situation with some relatives. They were celebrating their 50th anniversary. After the meal, one of their daughters said, "We'd like to invite anybody who has some warm memories or comments to make about my mom and dad's durable marriage." Now, nobody was saying anything. It was quiet. You know, the tension was building. And I figured, I got to do something to break this tension. So I raised my hand. And I asked, "Aunt Grace, where did you guys get these rolls? These are some of the best rolls I ever tasted." Now, she being Italian, she laughed. Other people laughed. I thought I broke the tension. And I was going to be a hero, right? Not exactly. The next day, there was a voicemail call by their daughter who basically accused me of mocking their special moment. And it was not a gentle voicemail call. So I thought, well, my first impulse to call back. I didn't do any such thing. Ease up. It was just a benign comment trying to help the situation, and your mom and dad laughed. That was my impulse. It's a good thing I didn't follow it. I called back. I said, "I'm so very, very sorry. I did not mean to do that, and I can see how it could be taken that way. Just please know I would never do anything to deliberately hurt your parents." And she said, Thank you, Ray. That's so very kind of you. I know you wouldn't do that." Not exactly. No. She used my apology to launch into more of how I ruined the special moment. Should I have not apologized? Because it was thrown back in my face. And by the way, the relationship that I thought we had that was somewhat warm for many, many years. It cooled quite a bit after that. Should I have not apologized? No, I decided it would be best to attempt to salvage the situation and to smooth over the relationship. It didn't work. Do I think it was the right thing to do? Yeah, I do. I do. Have you ever had situations where in your mind you didn't do anything wrong? Maybe you've got a daughter-in-law or a daughter or a son-in-law, and you've made a few remarks about something, whether it was the kid, nothing nasty. Do you think he needs a coat? It's kind of cold outside. You want to get a coat for him? Benign statement, right? Concern for the child's well-being. But no, that was interpreted as, don't tell me how to parent. I didn't ask for your advice. I know when my son's cold. Or anything that somebody takes offense at that you had absolutely no intent to cause offense. Do you apologize? You could stand and say, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not apologizing when I didn't do anything wrong. It's too bad we're not taking calls today because I think this one would really, really provoke a number of calls. You don't apologize when you weren't wrong. If they think you were, and by apologizing, it would perhaps smooth out the relationship. The relationship could take quite a ding from their interpretation of this. And you apologize. Now, keep careful how you apologize here. You apologize kind of unqualifiedly. Is that a word? You don't say, well, I'm sorry, but I think you misinterpreted. No, see, now you're starting to qualify. Don't do that because you're saying your perception's off. Or, okay, I'm going to apologize, but I just don't think I did anything wrong. There you go again. It's like, just say, I'm so sorry. And if you want to say, I didn't mean to come off that way, or I didn't mean anything by it, please forgive me. I should have thought more before I talked. Whatever you want to say, don't qualify it. And don't be a politician. Mistakes were made. You're basically weighing whether it's better to take the blame for something in an effort to keep the relationship from deteriorating. I shouldn't have to do it. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not arguing that you didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying you did. I'm simply saying you're making a judgment here. And the judgment is like what I did, which is I don't want her to think that I mocked their special moment. So I'm going to apologize. Now, I could have tried to clarify that I didn't mock their special moment. You misunderstood. I was trying to save their special moment. I could have done that. But she already had her mind made up about how to interpret this. And so I figured I better just do my best to say I'm sorry. Yeah, I took the hit. See, Dr. Ray, you did, but it didn't work. Yeah, it did work. You know why? Because I can rest easy knowing I tried. I get comfort in doing that. I tried to make amends. Now, how she interpreted my apology, I can't control that. I can only control whether I apologize or not. I can't control how she's going to take it. So, in that sense, that's the hardest apology. Hardest apology is when you think you didn't do anything wrong. Or maybe you're even convinced you didn't do anything wrong. But you know that the other person not only is going to react bad, but it could affect the relationship. Well, you know, then it ain't much of a relationship to keep if you have to do that to keep it. Yeah, but what if it's your mom? What if it's your brother? What if it is somebody in your close emotional social circle? Do you want to just go, hey, too bad, so sad. I didn't do anything. You want to do that? You got to make a decision here. Well, they never apologized to me. They wouldn't apologize to me in the same circumstances. You don't gauge your behavior by what they would do. I'm going to assume most of the people listening to me, all 126 of you, are trying to live as disciples of Christ, all right, then you do what you think is the best thing to do for the circumstance, independent of whether they would do it back. You don't gauge what you do by somebody who isn't as motivated to follow Christ as you might be. See, that's the problem. Your apology is going to be motivated by trying to smooth the relationship because you think that's a good thing to do and you think that's what Christ would want you to do. It's independent of whether they would do the same thing. That's kind of like the lowest common denominator. Well, I'm not going to do it because they don't do it. Well, yeah, is that? Hardest apology. Apologize when you don't think you're wrong. Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Christ is the answer, with Father John Riccardo.
John, chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." He says that often in the Gospels. "He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die." To which the Jews say, "Now we know you have a demon." And they say, "Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets who died?" And Jesus says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad." To which the Jews say, "You are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham?" And Jesus answers, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am."
Steve and Janet Ray here, announcing we are back in the Holy Land, ready to introduce you to our favorite places in the world, the land where God walked. Mass at the most holy sites, pray the mysteries of the Rosary where they happened, and experience the Bible in vivid color. We have led over 100 groups through this land, sharing the whole story of salvation. Of all the pilgrimages in all of the world, this is the one you should not miss.
Find the Ave Maria Radio Travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
Están escuchando al Dr. Ray, mi héroe y amigo español de corazón.
Doesn't that sound like some kind of family sitcom, 1968? Take off of my 3 sons, my 5 daughters, something like that. See what we got here. Rose is calling from New York. She regrets looking back on it. She regrets not homeschooling.
I'm struggling a lot because my oldest is in 4th grade, so I have a 4th grader, a 2nd grader, kindergartner, and I have a 2-year-old at home still. And I've really loved homeschooling them. But this year we moved to a new house, and we've only been in our new house for 3 weeks. It was like the week before school started, and I panicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I can't homeschool them this year. So I really fast enrolled them in school, and I regretted it pretty much like after I got at least 2 days to breathe. I was like, oh man, what did I do? But now I feel like I can't go back because everyone in my life has never supported me homeschooling, but they went along with it. And now that I panicked and put them in school, now everyone is kind of taking advantage of that, and they're like, oh, but you're doing the best thing now. You're doing the best thing for them. And I'm like, well, it wasn't not the best thing for them before. And my kindergartner is doing great, of course, because she's 5 and she's in kindergarten and loves it. But my fourth grader and my second grader are crying every day. They hate going. They're having problems with the kids. They want to be home. And I'm really having a hard time because I'm like, I don't want them to go either, but I'm trying to get them to stick it out because I'm trying to be like,
Rose,
well,
why?
I mean, they have to do hard things, right?
You haven't, wait a minute. You haven't given me yet a decent reason why you wouldn't start to re-homeschool your kids. The only thing you said is you got a bunch of people in your family who go, oh, thank heavens, Rose. Oh, I was worried about the kids.
They're pressuring me, and I don't know why I can't. I don't know why I can't. Like, why do I care so much? It's mostly my parents who are huge supporters of me, and I have had them. They're pretty involved in my life. Like, we can walk to their house. We live so close. And they've always been involved and helpful, and my husband works a lot, so they've been kind of there for me, and they just are really, like, they're really pushing back really hard, and I'm like, why do I care so much? I'm, like, an adult.
I got a question, Rose.
I don't get it.
Please don't take this wrong. What business is it of theirs?
I know. I don't know, Dr. A. That's what everyone keeps telling me, but I'm like, why do I care so much what they think?
Man.
In my mind, I feel like I'm going to make a wrong decision in the back of my mind, but I know that it's not the wrong decision, that they've been fine homeschooled up to this point. So I know it's not the wrong decision.
I got a couple of thoughts here, Rose. First of all, as a homeschooling mother, you know you didn't have to panic. You could have just delayed their education for a week or two before you got settled, for heaven's sake. Well, that's okay.
I know, Dr. A. I was so mad at myself for doing that. I'm like, I could have just waited a couple of weeks till the books came in.
That's
like,
exactly
why am I
right.
even caring that much?
All right, there you go. That's part of the theme here, Rose. You're overthinking stuff. Okay, that's one.
I am.
Two, you made a decision and you said, what did I do? Why would I do that? Okay, change the decision. You could do that. We did that with my daughter. We sent her on to high school, and she didn't do well. We brought her home. Halfway through the year, brought her back home. Okay? That's what parenting is. You make decisions, and you go, that one's not working out too well. Let me change it. Okay, cool. 3, your parents are going to come around. And the reason they're going to come around is because they're going to see how sweet your kids are, and how precious they are, and how innocent they are. And if your parents are paying attention to the general culture, they're going to be protective of those little ones, and they're going to say, you know what? I didn't agree with what Rose was doing, but now I see the wisdom in it.
That's my worst thing, because it's like I can see the difference. You know, I've done both now, right? Like, I've done co-op and I've done school 5 days a week, and I can see the difference in my children. I see the difference in those children, which I don't blame anyone for choosing school for their children, but my children are different. They just, they're not weighed down with the world. They're not exhausted. They were just happy to go. And they just, I don't know, they didn't have to stand in line and, you know, be told to be quiet and sit still. And I don't know, just basic things that people are like, oh, well, they have to do in life. I'm like, yeah. It's
not
like
when they're 8.
When I was
not
a kid.
when they're 8.
Well, I know. I'm like, I figured it out when I was an adult. I didn't need to learn it when I was a kid. Doesn't mean that they won't be well-adjusted adults.
Rose, I do not know why you're not trusting your own instincts.
I don't know. I'm really frustrated with myself. And my husband, he's like, do whatever you're comfortable with. That's what he said.
Change
and I'm
it.
like, oh.
You're allowed.
I know.
I know what you don't want to do. You don't want to explain to your parents why you changed your mind.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna say, you know, that you had to give it some time. You know, they got to learn how to get along with all kinds of kids. They're gonna throw all the standard objections at you, and then, you know, that's okay, Rose. They'll do fine. They're gonna be fine. No, Mom, I really love homeschooling, and that's best for our family. End of story. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So many things I want to say about that. First of all, Rose panicked. She decided, I'm not ready, I'm overwhelmed, we just moved. That's the one thing nice about homeschooling. It can be at your pace. And with a fourth grader and a second grader, most homeschoolers will tell you, we can get done in 2 hours what they would be at school for 6.5 hours doing. That's one. Two, it all comes down to what does Rose want as a mother? If she says, I want to keep my kids innocent for longer. Now, don't mishear me. I know the majority of you listening do not homeschool. That is your decision, and many kids do just fine navigating the peer group. But it makes it a little harder. I'm going to tell you, it does make it harder. So she says, I know, I want to have a little more childhood, and I want to spend more time with my kids. I don't want them coming home at 4 o'clock, and we got to worry about homework with the 4-year-old, and by the time we get done, it's 8 o'clock, it's all time bedtime, and I had a half an hour with them. Rose doesn't want that. She's taken a lot of heat. And homeschooling moms get this kind of grief. People can't simply say, well, that's your decision, and I respect it. No. You realize you're going to ruin your kids, don't you? You're going to socially stunt them. They're going to be weirdos. Well, that isn't what the research shows, by the way. Colleges actually gravitate towards homeschoolers. They like their work ethic, and they're pretty well educated. 2 of my children were homeschooled. Well, all of them were homeschooled except for one, all the way through high school. And those 2 both got perfect scores on their ACTs in verbal. They didn't in math because they took them as juniors and didn't have some of the coursework. They still scored in the 30s. So given that, the homeschooling is not deficient in its academics, except maybe some of the sciences, but you can get all kinds of help with that. But most people don't homeschool through high school. They homeschool through 8th grade. Another thing for Rose, I think she wants approval. She doesn't want people constantly questioning her. And she doesn't yet have enough confidence to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I believe is best for me and my children. I don't have enough confidence to say that yet. The other thing, too, is she said, and she was using this as a justification. She said, well, they cry, they don't want to go. That's not going to be a reason acceptable in anybody's mind. As a matter of fact, they're going to interpret that as, you see what you did, Rose? School is a normal aspect of childhood, and you've made your 2 children so afraid of being socialized and being around other kids. I'm sure that's one of the arguments she's going to get hit with. And Rose doesn't have to defend it. She can simply say, no, I think we had such a wonderful homeschooling experience, they miss it. Homeschoolers talk about the S word, socialization. What a cliche. What is socialization? Socialization is learning how to get along in life with a solid moral system. Is a 32 kid environment in the 4th grade a better socializer than mom and dad home full-time? Well, in this case, mom homeschooling full-time. What is socialization? Is it getting along with others? Is it manners? Is it morals? Is it self-confidence? Well, that's the parent's job. That's not a bunch of other kids the same age job. Rose says, I want to be with my kids. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not stunting your kids. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I will tell you this. Of the parents that I talk to who say, my whole goal is to raise citizens for the kingdom of heaven, well, then homeschooling, if you can do it, go for it. Because there's a lot more ways to homeschool now than there used to be. Those of you who homeschooled 25, 30 years ago, you pretty much on your own. Not anymore. Not anymore. There are all kinds of online curricula. There are just boatloads of helps out there. Seton homeschooling is one. You can get into co-ops 2 days a week. Get into a co-op where you're other people homeschooling. You can have tutors come in. We had tutors come in. At one point, my wife was homeschooling 10. I watched. I thought she was doing a great job. I always applauded. Always did.
He was a pope, a saint, and a doctor of the Church.
Matthew Bunson and the Doctors of the Church.
Pope St. Gregory I the Great is one of only 4 popes honored as the Great. Among his many achievements was sending missionaries across Northern Europe, especially St. Augustine of Canterbury, who brought Christ to the people of England. In a pun, Pope Gregory called the English people angels. He died in 604.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Nothing illustrates the powerful bond between man and wife intended by God, the creator of marriage, than these words from Matthew's Gospel. A true marriage is a sacramental bond and is therefore indissoluble. The Catholic Catechism, however, realistically acknowledges that the presence of evil can severely strain this bond. Marital union has always been threatened by discord, a spirit of domination, jealousy, infidelity, and conflicts that can escalate into hatred and separation. The original communion of Adam and Eve was ruptured by their sin of disobedience. Their relations were distorted by mutual recrimination, says the Catechism, and brought about the pain of childbirth and the toil of work. Without God's help, a man and woman cannot achieve the union of their lives for which God created them in the beginning. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
The following program is brought to you in part by MyCatholicWill.com. Surveys show that more than half of Americans do not have a will. At MyCatholicWill.com, it takes as little as 15 minutes to write your will and secure a legacy of faith. MyCatholicWill.com is the exclusive online destination for creating a Catholic will. The process of writing a will is simple and now more accessible than ever. MyCatholicWill.com, a legacy of faith for those you love.
When I was outside of the church, there was always an unsettled feeling. There was always a feeling of something missing and something not complete. The deal clincher is we found our way to our parish. And we met just an incredible pastor. We learned things that we'd never been taught. Wouldn't be the person that I am without the church and without the sacraments, particularly the Eucharist. I can't live without it.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church, visit CatholicsComeHome.org.
One more question that people ask me a lot. Do you always carry a picture of your wife and children in your wallet? Yes, I do. I have a picture there. It is to remind me why there's no money in that wallet. Okay, this is Look Back Friday. Let's take a previous call right away. Quick. Daniel from California. Device withdrawal.
The question I have is, and I appreciate it, especially this, is that with my nieces and nephews, with their tablets, they're constantly on this. What do you recommend in terms of just helping them to guide them away from these tablets and these algorithms, Doctor?
Are they on them at your house?
Yes.
What would happen if you said everything goes in the basket by the door when you come in, you can pick it up when you leave?
Amen. It seems like when I take the tablet away, it's like taking away their phones are indifferent. It's so, but I find it's just now, Dr. Ray, it's encompassing all of their time. And I talk to my nieces, their parents, is that we need to take these tablets away and spend time to open a book and read and read Scripture. But however, these tablets are just all encompassing and just kind of keep these kids, in tune.
They ain't going to listen to you, Daniel. You've told them this, right?
I figure that. I get in arguments with my nieces and nephews over it.
Right. The only place you have leverage is your house.
Yes, sir.
What would happen if you said, I really enjoy my nieces and nephews, so when they come here, I want to have any kind of face-to-face time with them. The rule now is all devices, including phones, go in the basket by the door and to be picked up when you leave. What would happen if you did that?
I am sure immediately the children would spout, no, I want my tablets, and plead to their parents to get them back.
How old are these kids?
They are ages 6, 7, and 9.
Oh! I thought you were going to say 14, 16, 6.
No, Dr. Day, they're 6, 7, and 9, and they're just engulfed in these tablets, and these algorithms just keep them on it for hours, sometimes at a time.
At your house?
At times it could be at my house, but the majority it's at their homes.
You can't do anything about their home because there is something in the parents allowing this. Whether it's laziness, whether it's as long as they're occupied, they're not fighting, whether it's that's what kids do nowadays, whether it's, well, they're just playing games, that's all they're doing, whether it's the new form of entertainment, we had TV, now they have their device, whatever their rationale is. My experience is, and I can't predict this from your family, but my experience is at some point when these kids are 11, 12, 13, 14, the parents are going to go, why are they like that? And they will not point to the devices as a huge contributor to these kids not wanting to talk to their parents, not playing outside, not even having that many friends, watching their grades go into the tanker. They will not connect those dots. So again, if you said that's our rule in our house, would the parents not come over?
No, I think they would come over. Actually, that's a good point. I think they would come over. We're very close. They would come over.
Would they be insulted, like you're commenting on their parenthood?
Yes.
And if you said, I just want to enjoy the company of my nieces and nephews, and I can't when they're on their devices, would they see any wisdom in that?
Daughter, I pray, but sometimes I struggle with it because I figure sometimes those tablets are just like a third parent. You know, where they'll put it in it, and then once the child asks for it, they'll just give it to them, and then it's over. So they don't have to deal with if they're fussing or if they're creating things. But again, it is a huge issue, and I see it not only with my nieces and nephews. I see it with a lot of the young youth in the programs that I participate in with the youth programs, that these phones and these tablets are all encompassing their times.
They're treacherous. They're absolutely treacherous. And even in the very small percentage of time that the kids don't do something inappropriate with the phone, it changes their whole social demeanor. It changes their ability to connect with people. It changes their personality. It changes their interests. The question for you, Daniel, is can you enforce that rule with those little ones when they come in? If you explain to their parents, I just want to have a chance to interact with them in some way spontaneously, and that can't happen if they're on their phones. And the parents will accept that. Will that be?
Yes. I'm going to do that, Dr. Day. One thing I did do was I went up to the mountains, way up high into the Sierras, where we had no connectivity, and that was great. We spent an entire day without any type of device, and we got to play with the kids, fish with the kids, and talk. So that was a very lightning thing, is to get them outside of the scope of any internet or any type of connection to television or the world.
Isn't it interesting, Daniel, that we have to say, wow, what a unique experience where we actually talk to each other. Whoa, was that cool or what? Okay. My speculation is that the 6, 7, and 9-year-old are going to be bored if they have to go to Uncle's house and the parents are talking or whatever the parents are doing, that the kids are thinking, I'm not being included in this. In other words, there will be pressure to entertain the 6, 7, and 9-year-old rather than allowing them to entertain themselves. However, Uncle wants to set that up. That'd be my guess, because it sounds like, well, this keeps them occupied. And otherwise, what would they do? I got in trouble once, way back, when I talked about the hyperstimulation of so many devices and so much computer and so much video game. I got in trouble because a guy was giving a workshop on ADHD, and he said, absolutely not. ADHD is a neurological problem. I said, well, yeah, I'm not arguing that there are neurological reasons for some people's inability to attend or inability to control impulses. Okay, we'll acknowledge that in the extreme. But that doesn't mean it can't be confused by when I am on a steady diet of something that keeps me second by second stimulated and entertained and rewarded, that other stuff by comparison is a drag.
I know not to ask any questions. Don't worry. I understand.
All the advice, none of the bills. Come in. The doctor is in.
Welcome to Spirit of Stewardship. Jeremy Belsky is your host for real-life stories, encouragement, and ideas to enhance your own gifts of work, wealth, and wisdom in response to God's blessings for you.
I'm Jeremy Belsky, and today's topic is stewardship, a new spin on the money-back guarantee. We've all heard it. Your satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. A business will back its product regardless of the amount used or consumed. They know it's worth the expense in order to maintain the customer's future business. But what about stewardship and our effort to make it a way of life? How does being a good steward of our work, wealth, wisdom, and prayer guarantee anything? The analogy between a business's money-back guarantee and living a stewardship way of life each produces a result. With the business model, you get a new product. With the stewardship model, you get the lifelong opportunity to enter the kingdom of heaven through faith and good works. Jesus wants you to do good with what you have based on how he has blessed you. He shows his love and forgiveness through the sacrament of confession and shows encouragement and hope throughout our daily prayers to him. Jesus sees his gifts to you when he sees you give to others. We are all created in God's likeness and image. Thus, we all have different gifts to share. Perhaps two key questions to ask yourself to gauge your own level of stewardship is this: what am I giving? And how am I being called to increase my performance? Spend some quiet time in prayer, preferably in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, and ask for God's guidance in living a stewardship way of life. Let his money-back guarantee bring you peace, love, and happiness. I'm Jeremy Belsky, your host for Spirit of Stewardship.
To learn how you can better share your talents and resources, contact your local parish priest. Your level of involvement in the church now positively impacts our faith in the future.
The doctor will see you now.
When I first started into psychology, I had a young man that I had heard of as I was consulting to the schools who committed suicide. He was 13, and I remember commenting to some of the folks that, wow, that's really, really young. That's almost unheard of, that young, 12, 13 years of age committing suicide. There's a certain protective mechanism in kids that at that age, suicide is really very rare. Well, unfortunately, as our culture has been so assaultive on the well-being, the emotional, spiritual, moral well-being of young people, that age, unfortunately, it's not quite so rare. Let's talk to an anonymous female from New Hampshire.
This little boy came into my custody because years ago I used to run a food pantry, and his mother was begging for food, and she was still pregnant with him, and they had a 2-year-old also. And the father was being abusive. They weren't married. There was like 30 years difference. So then the mother left, and the father had the baby, the 2 children, and I thought he was a good man, and I was trying to help him out and stuff and giving him extra food. But come to find out, 8 years later, the boy was 8 years old, kept in contact with both boys and the dad. The dad had to go in for surgery, and he almost passed away, and we got the kids. And nobody had knew how bad they were physically abused. It started coming out slowly while Dad was sick. But in the meantime, I've had him for I had him a little over a year. He's such a kind-hearted, sweet little boy until he gets upset and angry and has his flashbacks of what had happened. And in the meantime, I go to church, and they were taught a little bit about church. And so I've been teaching them more. He's been asking to be baptized and wants to know a lot about God. So I took him to Sunday school last week and stuff, but he's been severely abused by his dad, so much so that he was told he would be killed and all this other stuff. Come now, he's having these, sorry, Lucy, stop. He's been having these hallucinations where he's in hell with Dad, and he has a knife, and Dad told him he killed all these people, and now he has to go kill his brother and me and my husband, and he says he doesn't want to, and he asks for God. Now, this is what he hears in his head. So he was shivering one day.
How old is he, Mom?
He will be 10 next month.
You've had him for how long?
And I've had him for a year. His mother left when he was a couple days old, and his dad raised him, but took him to different houses and stuff, and he was abused in those houses as well. My dad was abusing those people. So this is the first real home he's ever had.
Are you worried about his threats, or do you think these things are just tormenting thoughts that he doesn't want at all?
I don't know if they're tormenting thoughts he doesn't want at all. I do have him in counseling. He is on medication. He has tried to kill himself a number of times.
Yeah. Wait a minute. This little 9 to 10-year-old boy has already had suicide attempts?
Yes, he's had 4 since I've had him. And
my. That is so rare for a kid that young. What kinds of attempts?
He's trying to hang himself. He ran away from his therapist, ran in the middle of the street, trying to get hit by cars. He also has a 12-year-old brother that's also had suicide attempts, too, since they've been in our custody. They'd rather die than go back to their dad. And the little boy keeps saying, I'd rather die because I don't want to remember this anymore. So now that he's been going to church, and he met one of the church members, he met one of them doing something else because we put him in baseball because he loves baseball. And he wants to know more about God. He wants to get baptized. And he's getting angry now with the priest because the priest says he's going to wait 2 years. But he's not angry. He's just like, why? I want God now. I want God to save me. I love God. He really does love God. He listens to music. He sings for all God's music all the time. That's what he's into.
Is the therapist helping? Is the therapist helping him to embrace God?
Yeah, his therapist is whatever. She told him whatever makes him coping skills and makes him feel better. Just go ahead and do that. And believe it or not, her uncle is a priest, but she's not heavily into the church. It's just kind of like God's coming everywhere around this child. And I just want to know, do I keep going and bringing him to church every day and pushing this, or am I?
Well, why? If he wants to go, why are you doubting yourself?
That's just the way I am. I want to make sure. I love this boy so much. He calls me Mom. He calls me Dad. I've loved him ever since the day I met him. I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right. I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to hurt this boy in any way.
Obviously, with this kind of history, for me to comment on that would be just a wild shot in the dark. But it would seem, if he's asking you, please help me, I'd like to be closer to God, and God is, for him, is not a coping mechanism, it's a reality. So whatever you can do to introduce him to God, maybe you can take him to adoration with you. Maybe you could read him Bible stories. You could do those kinds of things to let him see that Jesus will protect him and Jesus will take away these fears, and to the degree that you can reassure him he's not going to go back with his dad, that's not going to happen, so he doesn't even have to worry about that at all, that would be a lot that you can do.
Yeah, the only bad thing is his dad keeps trying to get him back, and we have to go back to court every 2 or 3 months. They haven't arrested Dad yet. They're working in the process of doing that.
Well, I think
interviewing the boys and
to
stuff.
the degree that you can reassure him that it is highly unlikely, as you understand things, that Dad is going to get custody again, that he's safe with you. He is safe here, and that how much you love him, and for him to try to hurt himself would just break your heart. And I'm sure he loves you and he feels safe with you, so that if he knows how, when he thinks about hurting himself, how that hurts you, maybe, as you say, his sensitivity will kick in and he'll say, well, even if I think about doing this, I don't want to do that to Mom. So that'll help a lot. But I, if you're asking me if there's a problem with sending him to church or going to church with him, if he wants to, I can't see any downside to that. She called them hallucinations. She said he was having hallucinations. Probably not. That's not what it was. All right, there's nothing indicating what she was saying, that this young man was having any kind of psychotic episodes. It's probably either visual flashbacks and not even visual, just in his mind, flashbacks or worries. He's calling them that. It was worries. If I go back, this is going to happen again. So what she can do is she can really emphasize hard, like I said, you are perfectly safe here. You are with me, and you're not going to go back. I know I kind of said, to the degree that you can comfort him. No, I think I would say you're not going to go back. You're safe here. That's one. Second, if he's so curious about God, if he wants to know so much about God, maybe she's done this. She didn't bring it up, obviously, but I bet she did, but I'll reinforce it. Reinforce to him how much God loves him, how much God would never want him to hurt himself. Never, ever, ever, ever want him to hurt himself. Because he is so special. He's a child of God. And God is going to take care of him and protect him. And part of the reason that God is doing that is because he's with you right now. I would start the rosary with him. I would go to church with him. I go to adoration with him. I would let him see that he has security, safety, love, knowing more about God. Now, did you notice what she was talking about? She said she wasn't sure. I don't want to do the wrong thing. So she was even second-guessing herself about taking him to church because of his history, because his history was so ugly. And by the way, they pointed to the physical abuse of Dad. But anytime you've got that kind of physical abuse, you're going to have all kinds of emotional problems. I don't mean the kid. I mean the dad. You're going to have an unstable existence. It sounds like it was neglectful. So it was just pathetic parenting from what she described. And it was punctuated by getting physical. Way too physical. It wasn't any kind of discipline. It was just reacting because he was upset or frustrated or whatever. I'm speculating, but that'd be my guess. So because of that, this young man hasn't been given the kind of unconditional, warm, socializing existence that he would have had if he were in a good home or even in her home. Oh, I shouldn't say even in her home or in her home, because she sounds like a very warm, caring lady. That said, she can expect that he's going to have a lot of this reverberating stuff. And what she'll do is she'll hold him and she'll say, you're safe here. You are totally safe here. This is not something you even have to ever think about again. And we're going to go to church and we're going to make sure that God protects you. And I would pray out loud with him. I'd say, dear Lord, protect my little son here. Make sure that he feels safe and secure and he knows how safe he is in your arms. I would also, for example, introduce him to the idea of a guardian angel. I might even have an angel picture put up in his room just to let him know he's got all kinds of protection. You know, when I was in the evangelical world, we called it a hedge of protection. Dear Lord, give us a hedge of protection. Okay, you can co-opt that evangelical term. But just the key is here to make him feel safe, to make him sure as best you can that he's not going to go back. It's not happening. That the kid is on the edge. What if? What if? What if? What if? We got to take that what if away from him. He'll buy it. He's probably just like 10, so therefore. But these suicide attempts. I didn't ask this. I should have. Did he do them when he was with Dad, or has he done them since? And if he's done them since, he said, "I'd rather die than go back." Well, son, you're not going to go back, so therefore you don't have to make that choice. Dr. Ray.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Do you feel as though life is flying past you? Are you desperate for a way to find moments of peace and quiet? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian prayer series, will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Saint Josemaria Escriva says that we are called to light up the pathways of this earth by being sowers of peace and joy. This comes from being aware that we are sons and daughters of God. On the road of life, though, we find dangers. But God walks with us every step of our life, pouring out the gifts of His Holy Spirit upon us. Our Lady is our companion, like GPS in our car, connected to the cloud and bringing the latest updates to help us navigate our journey and get out of traffic on the way to the eternal kingdom. We don't want to get into family fights on our way to God's vacation destination, but we should be these sowers of peace and joy. We shouldn't accept substitutes, accept only the authentic identity of being His children, His sons and daughters. Let's grow in happiness and bring peace to those around us. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God.
For more about the Beatitudes, visit EWTNRC.com.
Strained or broken relationships are a given in most of our lives. Friends fall away, siblings drift apart, children sever ties with their parents, and despite our best efforts, these painful fissures are difficult to mend. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray. If you want to learn how to communicate better with the difficult people in your life and be a more easygoing, more forgiving person, check out my book, How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. Check it out. And all my other books on the store page at AveMariaRadio.net. That's AveMariaRadio.net. Nowhere near enough time to take another look-back call, but there is always, even if it's 6 seconds, enough time for me to talk some more. The suicidal ideation, attempts, and tragic follow-throughs have skyrocketed among young people, teens and young adults, in recent years. It is now the second leading cause of death in young people, late teens, early 20s, after accidents. Why is this? One of the reasons is, and I think this is what now mom has in her favor, is that where there is a lack of religion, where there is a lack of belief in God, a lack of instruction about God's ways, those attempts, that ideation goes up. Secular research says this is not Catholics conducting this research. This is secular research. Religion is a force for stability, emotional contentment, if you will. So as this young man wants to embrace God, he said, look, I want to know about these things. She can just tell him all about God. Get some good Bible stories, get some things to read with him. Absolutely. Because the closer he gets to God in his little mind, the less likely he's going to feel threatened by all the instability that he's known in his young little life. Poor little guy. Sounds like his brother, I don't know if she has custody of him too. Sounds like his brother was going through kind of the same turmoil, which wouldn't be a surprise. So that said, she's got a lot going for her. And I think she continues to do it, this little guy will stabilize out. And it sounds like his temperament's in his favor too, because she's talking about he's a kind of a sensitive guy. He's a thinker, and he likes to get close to God in his mind. He's not resisting the idea of a God. What you could do if you say, "Where's God in my life?" Right? If that's what God the Father's like my father, I don't want too much to do with him. Doesn't sound like he's heading in that direction. Thank you for joining me here on this Look Back Friday. Dr. Ray Guarendi, good Lord permitting, we'll see you on Monday. Walk with God. That is your best walk, and I'll tell you what, it is a psychologically, emotionally, morally stabilizing walk.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.